Of course, is regretted, but then safety trumps any inconvenience. So that then we do not get here, or rather we get into paralysis by analysis. We are going around this issue about the time when this was actually communicated. But let's also be fair. First of all, the same ministry had earlier on communicated that schools should not open. Remember, that is a second communication. I don't know why we are not picking that out, flagging
the initial
it out.
Communication was that
the initial communication, schools that are
school
affected should not open. So already there was a communication to that end. The general closure is that at that particular point, the CES then had sufficient data to think that then we might not need to go all the way. And by the way, we recall planes that are actually midway. A flight that is midway and is recalled. So the government can actually call back, say we go back home even when the children are already in the buses. If there is sufficient data to justify why that decision will be done, then I do not think that the inconvenience suffered trumps the safety of our children out there. Because remember, on Sunday, you just said that there was no major incident on Sunday. On Sunday, there was a school, I think in Samburu, that had 52 people on board. Thankfully, they were not students. It was carried away, and again, thankfully, there were no casualties. That already started informing the thinking about how bad this can actually play out. There was so much data that was actually coming in. So, whereas that story has not been reported
last week, so the ministry was already aware that the situation was already dire.
Fair enough, but then that is why they actually had gone.
Earlier,
they had already. That's why 24 hours earlier they had actually spoken that in areas that are affected, this should be done. But Fred,
my concern is that it would appear that cabinet secretaries or very senior government officials are not able to conclusively decide on something and go ahead and execute a certain decision.
You are buying into
to be waiting for some go-ahead from higher authorities, probably from State House, from the office of the president. And that in situations like the one we are facing could leave the country vulnerable.
Fred, no one can manage Kenya from their own phone. No one, no single individual can run Kenya the way you actually are thinking. And we should not run into peddling corridor rumors and stories, even stories ajaba, that somebody was waiting for. It's the minister who actually had. Remember that a minister...
we should blame the minister for the delay.
But first of all, we shouldn't even blame him. We should actually thank him for actually having been strategic. It doesn't matter whatever the time. And like I said, the inconvenience is regretted. That still doesn't trump.
You are a communications expert.
That still doesn't trump.
And the time is also a factor in communication. If communication is delayed even by a second, it could mean something.
This is an emergency situation. And in an emergency situation,